Hello, my name is Rachel. If we haven't met before, I like to share messages that help people have a happier and healthier life. Because there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I have found my voice, and I've used a lot of tools to become happier and healthier, so I think more people need this information. So the last couple days I've been in a really high vibe, and I can tell I'm kind of coming out of it, which is okay because we are here to experience the light and the dark. Things change all the time. But something that was like very, very true for me during that time was remembering and realizing just to like fall in love with what you have in front of you and kind of, all the grief that's associated with letting go of what could have been. So Buddhism has been a part of my journey, and part of that is, our suffering comes from attachment, right, to certain things and how life should go. So growing up, I had a very specific, thought of how the world would work or how my life would go. And it hasn't gone quite like that, namely starting with my parents separated when I was 16. So I really hated that and I didn't process it. I think another one of those messages is very much related to relationships, right? Like you go to college and you find a person and you just date and it's happy ever after. And I'm like, well, what actually makes a happy, healthy relationship are things that we're not taught and skills that we don't talk about at all. So I'll talk about that, and I need to look at something in like a couple minutes. I'm going to be looking over here, but and then this is also very pertinent because this morning I was watching, this is what synchronicities are. So I was having those realizations, right? Like wanting to share messages on when people grieve what could have been, that's keeping you stuck and suffering and not moving forward and really enjoying and what's in front of you and getting out of life what you could be getting out of life. So it's a mindset shift. But it was a guy who died who was like rock climbing in a certain not gorge, I don't know, like in a national park. I think I've been watching some of those videos, so I think it was him, and he had a family, like a wife and a couple of kids. And at the YouTuber that was covering this or his story had a clip from the guy's YouTube channel where he and the wife are talking about like this very thing because they had a kid who had like cerebral palsy or something, like a condition like that. So they had read like a poem that changed their lives. It was like something about Holland. Like they had this in the poem, they had a plan to go to Italy, and then the flight attendant says you're in Holland. So there's always a part of you that mourns and grieves what your Italian trip could be. But Holland is really beautiful. And I'm like, this is exactly what I've been talking about. So like I said, there is a mindset thing with it, right? So like that poem example, and what I've experienced partly in my journey and on my life is just letting go of the attachment to how you thought things were going to go on a mindset level. So this is uncomfortable to kind of change your view of what the world looks like and how it actually works. But you can change it as a mindset, right? It's like you're just getting to a point where it's like, okay, in all my time, there's been, my aunt had like gone to therapy for a while, and one quote she told me years ago that stuck with me is, you don't have to like it or dislike it, you just have to accept it. So I think in this case, what I'm talking about, like maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it, but you just have to accept where we're at. And you could look at that on lots of different scales right now, right? Like micro scales, macro scales in your family, in your community, in your state, in your country. sorry, I need it to be 8:30 and then I need to click on something. um, so there's a mindset piece. And then I would also say, because I'm holistic, and again, part of my journey has been, you know, where did or does that energy and emotion of grief, like where is that carried in your body still? Because you can absolutely release some of that stuff. So I would recommend emotional freedom technique. So you can literally tell your body, like, hey, we're gonna like let go of this grief, or even though I've experienced so much loss or suffering or whatever it is, you're just acknowledging it, and then you're tapping on all of these points to move energy through. So that's one thing you can do. I also recommend the emotion code. The book's in my room, but that's basically asking your body and your subconscious, like, what emotions do I have stuck? And then you can run a magnet on the I think it's the governing meridian to release that trapped emotion. So you might have a trapped emotion of grief. There's a lot of like yoga for grief, you know, specifically if you want to get into grief. So that would be another way to get into your body and move that through. But there's just a lot of processing too. So if you're, you know, a big journaler or like to write things down, you can absolutely write a letter to what you're missing and say, wow, I'm really, really sad about this, but I'm gonna be okay. It's okay to feel sad. Or maybe you just speak that out loud, because as a society, we don't really say that it's okay to be sad. But there's a lot of people that have a lot of heavy and sad things that happen to them. And sadness and grief is a very real part of the human experience. But again, we're not really even told that we can have those feelings and emotions. And my whole big thing is if you shove things down and you don't process and feel things, then they show up as physical symptoms. If you want to look into that more specifically for grief, in traditional Chinese medicine, the lungs are associated with grief. So that's something you could research if you would like. But yeah, so there's the mindset piece and the emotional side of it, and then however you want to process it. We are, you know, in this season of the holidays, but that's also fall and getting into winter, so it's a little darker and colder. So that, you know, can very much be that turning inward kind of season. Like, hey, it's okay to slow down. Hey, again, it's okay to feel your feelings. Like, what's present with you? What have you maybe run away from your whole entire life, right? Like, I don't know, maybe an old deep example of that would be when you were a kid, you were like, this is exactly how life is gonna go. Like, I'm gonna have this partner and this job and this whatever, and it hasn't turned out how you thought. So that would be a lot to uncover and just sit with and process and be with. Or maybe you've gotten literally everything you've ever wanted, and then more recently, some of that kind of started to fade away from you or slip through your fingers. So you can grieve that, right? The whole other big thing and big takeaway from this is if you want something new in your life, you know, to create it or have it, you have to let go of the old. So that's kind of, again, we're not told that in culture and society, but it's very much been a part of my journey where you go through, well, I've gone through life, and for my next level and layer of magic and good things that came into my life, I had to let go of old beliefs or old patterns or things that were just stuck that I was holding on to that weren't serving my best and highest good. So again, you can have like a funeral for that. You can have a death ceremony. It doesn't have to be that intense, but it is a new moon tomorrow. So yesterday I wrote down what I'm releasing and then the new seeds of what I wanted to manifest, and I went to go burn it outside today. So it can be a little ritual like that. You can have a whole funeral if you want to. Maybe you have a lot of stuff, you know. And obviously, you know, if you want to explore processing some of that with a therapist or deeper, great. You don't have to, but if you want to, cool. So with all that all that being said, if you want support from me and feel called to work with me, awesome. If not, that's okay too. But I offer energy healings, so that would be intuitive energy work to feel in your field or your body maybe what's stuck and keeping you limited, and then we can move it out so you can feel lighter and clearer. And then I also offer coaching or readings too, if you want to dive in a little deeper and kind of go on that mindset piece and, you know, see things differently and have new thought patterns. So with that, I will leave you. I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, and I'll see you soon. Bye.